Good morning, St. Francis, and good morning, people of God. It is Tuesday, the 18th day of October 2022, Tuesday of the 29th week of the year, but also today we celebrate the feast of the evangelist St. Luke, the physician, the second apostle to the Gentiles after Paul, and the one basically who gives a detailed description, a much more detailed description than Matthew, of Jesus' birth, his nativity. No visit of the three kings, and but Mary and Joseph seem to be from Nazareth and go to Jerusalem, unlike in Matthew's Gospel, where Mary and Joseph seem to be residents of Bethlehem, first and foremost, and then never have to travel anywhere. But remember Luke today. Remember all physicians, doctors, nurses, nursing assistants, anyone in the healthcare profession, because today is their feast day also. So blessings to them too. So coming to you from the first of the cool days here in North Carolina, we woke to, I think it was 47 degrees. So it was finally wonderful. I am not sweating as I have been, it seems, for like 18 months or whatever it is. So finally, hopefully, fall has finally arrived, and there is a great turn for us to be able to begin to enjoy more temperate weather than the heat and humidity that we had over the late spring, summer, and early fall. So in today's readings, because it is the Feast of St. Luke, there are special readings for him. And the first is from the second letter of Timothy, where basically Timothy is very upset and giving this long list of people who have deserted him and how terrible his job of being a missionary is, and all these awful people who decided to go back to the world, or who disappointed him, or who double-crossed him, and things like that. And the only one who seems to be left with him is Luke. Now, is this Luke the evangelist? Is this Luke the physician? We don't know for sure, but it is a mention of a Luke, and again, Luke is the name that is associated with the gospel that he writes. So it could have been that Luke was the only one who was faithful. And again, Timothy is with Paul sometimes, but he is outside of the world of Israel, and so he is in the Greco-Roman world. And so many people who perhaps came to the faith did not basically stick with it as they might have wanted to originally. So again, the wonderful thing about the second letter of Timothy is that it shows the ups and downs. It was not just all one great rosy picture of fantastic building up the kingdom, building up the community, and all kinds of other things like that. It was a whole bunch of ups and downs and backs and forths, and a lot of people who said that they would be faithful and then who weren't, and then the sadness, because of that. But Luke is the one who is faithful, and Luke is the one who seems to be with Timothy this whole time, to be able to help him continue with the mission that God has given him, to continue to spread the gospel. The passage in the gospel today is, of course, from Luke's gospel, and it is Jesus calling not just 12 apostles, but 72 disciples to go out and to spread the gospel. And with the instructions is that, wherever you go, and the place welcomes you, then that is a place to stay. If they don't, then shake the dust, from your sandals. But don't move from house to house. Eat what is put in front of you. Again, this idea of Jewish dietary restrictions not necessarily being a part of Luke's gospel and Luke's understanding of things, because again, he is writing to non-Jewish people. The thing about, again, preaching that the reign of God is at hand, and again, for Luke, it is not a kingdom but a reign, not a place but a reality, an experience, something that allows us to be able to move into it with body and soul, with all that we are, rather than just being an allegiance that we make to some other kind of rulers or some other kind of leader. That is what Jesus comes to bring, not necessarily one kingdom to conquer another kingdom, but a reality of ourselves as human beings, a reality of this world in which we live, that only God can provide, that only God can give us. A world where there is peace and hope, a world where there is compassion and trust, a world where there is wholeness and unity. That is the purpose that Luke's gospel tries to emphasize again and again, that Jesus comes to bring. And it is something, again, that Luke himself seems to have wanted to perpetuate through both his gospel and through the Acts of the Apostles, that he also seems to be author of, to be able to show that struggle constantly of maintaining unity and of working to expand the horizons of people's minds and of who and what we are as human beings before God, is first and foremost, not only in God's role within this world, but also that God gives us in our own roles in this world. And may the Lord give you his peace.